Welcome to a special edition of the Referrals podcast. Introducing our new Daily Dose. We've assembled the ultimate crisis response team for your business. Generous leaders from around the globe teaming up to teach, guide, and lead you through this time of isolation and quarantine. Now let's meet your host, Michael J. Maher.
Hey everybody, this is Michael J. Maher with another episode of the Daily Dose, the daily dose of positivity and productivity. Many of you are making the centerpiece of your day, the masterpiece of your day. Welcome back to another show today. I am so excited. Have you ever wondered, how you can remain energetic day in, day out? Can you imagine being a leader of leaders? I will tell you today, I get to introduce you to a rock star, superstar, somebody that maybe you haven't heard of, but once you get a load of this guy, you are going to be on fire for life and business. I cannot wait to introduce you to Ron Bergum today, but I'm going to have to. I've got to. I know I can't wait, but I've got to do it because I've got to do the announcements. So first of all, Systems 101 class with me is on Wednesday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Check the events section of the Generosity Generation group. Time management check-in. So class number 2 with Neil Smith is Thursday at 2:30 Eastern. And we have a new 30 mornings class. Yes, you demanded it. You made us do it. You want to create your ultimate morning ritual. And you know who the leaders were on this? I have to give a shout out. The leaders on this were the people who are currently taking 30 mornings, and they want to keep doing it. So I just have to give a shout out to them, a shout out to Neil Smith and Shalee Davis for the West Coast. And I've got to give a shout out to Tony and Jen Scarparo for leading the East Coast classes. Those classes have changed lives already. Can you change your life in 30 mornings? Yes, you can, obviously. Go to 30mornings.com. And then as we look ahead this week, we have Hal Elrod tomorrow, the author of The Miracle Morning, The Miracle Man. He just brought out a book called The Miracle Equation. This guy is one of the most inspirational guys on the planet. Wednesday, we have Gina Bordeaux on virtual networking. How do you grow your network and grow your referral team through the virtual environment? Thursday, Mike Cuevas is going to show you how to build a local celebrity brand. We know that business is mostly done hyper-local. How do you do that and build a brand? I will tell you, Mike Cuevas, he's the real estate marketing dude. He has one of the best brands in real estate and in the country. You're going to need to listen to that guy. Friday, one of my favorite people on earth, Stacey Alcorn, is going to discuss leadership mastery. And I can tell you right now, she's going to have to drop the mic 5 times. She is so well-spoken, has such a great story. I can't wait. Now, the 2 action items that we have led throughout the last 5 weeks is 1, create and lead a Facebook group. Many of you have done it. Some of you have done it at the top level. Some of you are still in the beginning phases. It's okay. Just do it. The second one is you want to create your 150 Identify your 150 ambassadors, most positive people, no negative Nellies, no Debbie Downers, but you want to have identified 150. We use the movie theater example, is if you had a movie theater for 150, who would you invite? Doesn't have to be referral sources, doesn't have to be whatever, it can be anybody. People have asked, does it have to be local or can it be people from all over the US or global? The answer is it's your top 150. You make your 150, your 150. Now, if you have just begun, it's 5 a day. If you are new to the Daily Dose and the Generosity Generation, it's 5 a day. Identify 5 people. Have 5 calls where you do a VIP form, and I'll show that in just a second. And then after the VIP form, write your handwritten notes to say thank you. And then you're going to want to invite them to your Facebook group. 5 a day. We can all do it. We can all make the call. We can all fill out a form. We can all follow up with a handwritten note. We can all invite them to a Facebook group. We can do it all. So Patty Luke is already at 155, right? Angela Gibbons. And here's the thing, Patty Luca, I've got a question here at 155. How many VIP forms do you have filled out, and how many handwritten notes have you written? Right? So you've got 155 identified. That next step is that phone call. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, 6 to 8 weeks. If all you've done is called 150 of the most positive, energetic people you know, you win. If that's all you've done, you are so set for the rest of this year. So the key is we need to remember, we need to acknowledge, we need to identify those people who are the most positive, most energetic. And one of those is who we're going to introduce right now. Many of you have your Facebook groups. Now is the time to start your watch party. Go to share. It pops up. It says start a watch party. Click start a watch party. Up above, it has our group in there. Do not start a watch party in GenGen. That is counterproductive. You want to type in your group name, and then you will be doing a watch party in your group. Today's message is for everyone. Today's message is going to fire you up. This guy is on fire, right? I cannot wait for this. So start your watch party now. Now, without further ado, and I'm going to say that every day during the daily dose. It's going to be like, without further daily dose ado. Without further ado, I need to introduce you to Ron Bergum. Ron Bergum is the president of the Southwest Division of AmeriFirst Home Mortgage. He has held numerous executive level positions in the mortgage industry. He was named CEO of Prospect Mortgage in 2009 and has served as managing partner of Prospect since June of 2014. Prior to joining Prospect, he served as co-CEO of IndyMax Retail Lending Group and executive vice president of production and sales for the Western Retail Division of American Home Mortgage. At Marina Mortgage, he held the position of president and treasurer. Prior to Marina Mortgage, Bergum served as senior vice president of Plaza Home Mortgage. He holds a BS in real estate financial services from San Diego University. But I'm going to tell you something. Those are a lot of accolades. This guy knows leadership. He's been in leadership since he was like 3 years old, you know? So it's one of those where I will tell you that just from getting to know him over the last couple of years, I got to give Ron Garber a shout. Garb is the one who connected me and Ron Bergum. So a big shout out to him. But ever since getting to know Ron Bergum, like, this is a guy you want in your corner. This guy he's well-read. He's a leader. He is always fired up. He knows how to bring the energy. And this guy vibrates at a high frequency. Anytime, you know how you guys, we've talked about it before, is we have these people who, when they come into the room, like when they leave the room, like the room lights up more. You know those people, right? The weights, the negative Nellies, the Debbie Downers, like they brighten up a room simply by leaving. Now, on the opposite end of the spectrum are these people who you don't even know, like they walked in the room, but for some reason the room is more energetic. The room is brighter. And then you turn around and you see it's Ron Bergum walked in the room. That's the guy. That's what we want to tap in today. This is the daily dose of positivity and productivity. This guy knows positivity and productivity. Ron Bergum, welcome to the Daily Dose.
I don't even know what to say. I mean, first of all, Michael, it's an honor, obviously, to always be with you. And I appreciate you, inviting me to this show that you have, and you've done. Every time I listen to you, you could just keep going, right? Because I'm getting filled up right now by your energy, and we're virtual, so this is crazy. It's fun, it's great, it's good. You do nothing but bring great things to people to fill them up. There's something I call bucket dipping, or filling up that bucket, and clearly you're always filling up other people's buckets, and you do for me, brother. So thank you very much, and God bless you. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate that very much. Thank you. And so I've got like 7 questions I want to ask you in rapid fire, right? So it's kind of called the hot seat. And what it does, it allows me and my audience to get to know you a little bit better. And it's also kind of fun, right? Okay. Are you ready?
Sure.
Ready? All right. Out of the following 4 options, you can only pick one to describe yourself, or this is how your best friend might describe you. 1, straight to the point. 2, social and outgoing. 3, steady and dependable. 4, cautious and perfectly accurate. What's your number 1?
1.
1? All right. What's your number 2?
2 would be 4.
Okay. And then if you were like, this is absolutely not you, like out of social and outgoing or steady and dependable, which is absolutely not you?
Social and not going.
Social and outgoing, right? Which is kind of interesting because every time we've kind of connected, it's been in an event, which is a very social and outgoing thing. But here's what's funny. He's an introvert. I'm an introvert. How funny is that, right? But events bring us together. We made it happen.
I think you said it to me at that meeting where you have to force yourself to do that. And in all honesty, I have to do the same.
Yeah, 100%. And so what's your birthday?
June 2nd.
Is that Gemini?
It is.
Me too, brother. What
Right
up?
on. Yeah, there you go. See?
Spouse or significant other?
Spouse, yes. Lorena.
How you spell it?
Lorena.
And her birthday? You got to remember these things, right?
I do. November 23rd.
All right. November 23rd. And anniversary?
It's coming up. It's May 3rd.
5/3, May 3rd. Happy anniversary. Early.
Yes, thank you very much.
And what would you consider her out of straight to the point, social and outgoing, steady and dependable, or cautious and perfectly accurate? What would be her number one?
Cautious and perfectly accurate. That would be her.
What would be her number two?
Dependable.
Yeah, nice. All right. Children?
I have 5.
Okay. And do you have any pets?
I had a pet. Well, we do. We have one small dog. We had a big one that was a Neapolitan Mastiff.
Oh,
the house was too small. He needed a larger yard. So my parents have taken that opportunity to bring him over.
Okay. What's your favorite color?
Blue.
And TV show?
Don't really have one.
Yeah, good call. No Tiger King, I noticed.
Yeah, not a big TV person.
Favorite non-alcoholic beverage?
The favorite is green juice.
Okay. And if you were going to order a drink, what would it be at a bar?
Alcoholic?
Yeah.
With alcohol?
Yeah, alcohol.
That would be a Grey Goose Dirty Martini, blue cheese olives.
So what's funny about that question is so I've been asking these questions. It's amazing how specific people are with their drink. You know, it's like you didn't say martini, you said Grey Goose Martini.
Yes.
Right? What's your favorite dessert? Like if you're going to splurge on a dessert, what would you do?
That would be banana cream pie or coconut cream pie. Either one of those. I got it from Gilligan's Island. I used to love that show where they'd always have those. Remember those coconut cream pies?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just can't get away
dreamy.
from it.
Like the first word I thought was dreamy. You know, It's just those. What's your favorite musical artist or band?
Musical artist?
Yeah. Who do you listen to when you listen to music?
I cross the genres. I mean, I listen to everything. I really do. I don't have a favorite. I listen to everything from reggaeton to, blues to classical.
Who do you listen? I'm sorry. And so you kind of like all music. But is there like a band that you grew up to or a band that like what do you lift to? Like when you lift weights, you obviously freaking lift weights, right?
Queen is someone I grew up with and listened to a lot. But those are, I literally, my wife is the one that controls the music in the house. So I listen to whatever she plays. How's that?
Yeah.
That's a real answer.
I hear Queen. I want to do this.
Yeah. I'm with you.
They were the first one to own social interaction concerts. Like it was so interactive. And now all these bands are like, EO, and everybody's like, EO. That started with Queen. Queen was the first one to really engage the audience. And it started with the audience singing their songs. And he was in a foreign country where he didn't even know if they could speak the language, but they were singing back in English. Essentially, they were the reason people learned English in some of these countries. Think about that. That's
right.
That Bohemian Rhapsody is a great movie if people have not watched that. What's your favorite sports team?
Favorite sports team in basketball would be the Lakers.
Okay.
And football would be the San Francisco 49ers because I'm from the Bay Area.
Oh,
I love the Kings.
Did you say the 49ers?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Let me take it.
I see that there. I see that. And I'm not a huge sports guy in those sports. So I'm not one of those guys that does the draft choice, and I don't do that. I don't have that going on. So
I love it. We have 2 questions left. So bucket list item that you haven't checked off yet and will probably check off next. What would that be?
Africa.
What is it? Africa?
Africa.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get out there. We've hit about 29 countries.
Wow.
So some big trips, but that's a big continent, and I'd like to get out there and really experience the nature.
Favorite place you've ever traveled to?
That would be Portofino in Italy and the Amalfi Coast. Those two places are they're not real. It's a bubble.
So you just got Sherry's ears to perk up. That's on her bucket list, and we'll have to make that happen once the travel restrictions are going away. So, man, thank you. You helped me fill out the VIP form, and I do that for a couple of reasons. One, it helped me get to know you better. Two, it kind of warms up the conversation, and three is because I'm hoping to model the behavior that I want in the Gen. This is what I want people to do, and hopefully they notice, like, that's pretty conversational. I did time it. It took me less than 7 minutes to ask you all those questions. And I know everything, right? I mean, literally, imagine the follow-up I can do from that VIP form, you know?
I know you. I'm sure, and we're probably going on a trip together ultimately as a result of that.
There you go. Safari.
Capri, too, in Italy. It's another crazy place. So another place you want to go.
I love it. So let's jump right in. First, you're in the mortgage world. You're a leader in the mortgage world. Can you just give us a very brief, update on the mortgage world? I will tell you about 60 to 70% of our audience are realtors and lenders. So let's give them a real quick update as we're, 5 weeks into this quarantine time who can get a loan right now? Yeah,
it's a great question. And I know a lot of people that's on the mind of those out there that are looking. And if you have a job, and we can verify you have a job and it's staying with the same level of income you've been making, you can get a loan. So that's the good news, is that, as long as you're employed, you're going to get a job. That's what I would tell you the big difference is. I mean, mainly the market has been extremely volatile, mainly because of the fact of obviously what's transpired, but you have the feds that are in with quantitative easing, and that's artificial. Yeah. So we have a lot of volatility in the rates daily, weekly, and it's violent. So we'll see literally a person that was buying a home in a period of 2 weeks has lost 20% of the ability to purchase over a 2-week period of time. And then a day later, they're back up. They can now buy again. That's in a 2-week period of time. So
wow.
It's very different.
You need a lender who's watching that every moment of every day and lock when you can lock, baby, right? I mean, it's like tough game. It's a tough game. So I think that's a big one out there. Then some of the programs that existed prior to this all happening, like the non-QM product, jumbo product, some bond loans as well in different states, they're just not available. There's also been limitations on FICO scores. So you see people that are raising their scores, which allows fewer people to be able to purchase, and that's an issue. So there's some trimming of the tree, so to speak, in terms of what you can afford and what you can get. But I think that will return ultimately after this flattens out and gets back to normal. Yeah. So people are still getting mortgages. That's good to hear. And so what have you done as a company at AmeriFirst and at AmeriTrust? What have you guys done to kind of hurdle the challenges, overcome the challenges? Because I'm guessing the LOs are not meeting people face to face, right? They're not meeting people, are they? Or are they?
Well, as you know, they're not. They're not. Mainly, as markets open back up, I think we're in about 18 states right now. So as those states kind of free up their ability to get back to business, we are essential in all states, but we're just not there yet in the face-to-face, and people aren't totally comfortable with that yet. But so what do you do when you're sitting there and your primarily focus is face-to-face meetings, which we were still 30% of our activity was online with applications. We're now 100% online with applications and receiving the paperwork in that manner. I think that's a good thing because the technology can certainly help. But I think back to what we do, Michael, what you do, what I believe in, what your foundation is really that personal touch, that face-to-face, that get to someone so you can actually make an impact on them. So that'll come back, but in the short term, it's been all online, it's been all virtual. So we've picked up things that people didn't do before. They were doing Zoom meetings. So we're doing Zoom meetings now with the customers, right? We're doing Zoom meetings to meet realtors you haven't met before. Those are protocol changes that had to happen, and they had to happen quickly.
And I have to tell you, I love it, because what was once done by the phone is now being done by Zoom. So there's actually more personal interaction. There's more checking for understanding. There's even more feedback in a Zoom than there is over the phone, So, I mean, this is basically a FaceTime call,
Well, you nailed it right there. One of the notes, I actually got this note this morning from a very good originator and manager who said, we used to do our hour power calls. So a sales tactic we would do, we'd get everyone on the phone on Friday, we'd call in, everyone would call in, we'd say, okay, let's go get them. And we'd go over, we're going to do this and the other thing, make these phone calls, call these people. And we now do that all on Zoom. And so now you can see the person, you can see the interaction. It changes the game. It allows people to play at a different level, which just knocks that whole game up to another point, which we will now continue to do that and probably not have very many of those calls that are without video.
I'll tell you, that leads me to two people like Tara Carter, who is a realtor in Florida, and Sandy Creston is a lender in Arizona. And what's amazing is that they have gone to the part where it has forced them, they said, to be more proactive. Like a call is very reactive and you hope to get them and that kind. But you know what's funny is now they're scheduling Zoom calls, Zoom interactions, and it's making everybody shows up. It's more structured. Everybody's more prepared. It's actually, because it's proactive versus reactive, it's better for everyone. You know, so it's kind of one of the positives that have come out from the whole quarantine times, you know.
One thing that, you know, it's hard for people to understand is that unless you actually do it, most of the issues come with getting comfortable doing that. So when do people want to go ahead and practice doing Zoom meetings? Never. Not until they have to. So right now, either you're in this business and you're doing Zoom meetings or you're out of this business altogether. So once people get comfortable with now they're face-to-face and they can see someone and I can make the button work and I can turn my video off and I can record things. I can share my screen. You see a completely different reaction now from people like, I did it. So we see a lot of people that are saying I'm winning with this whole process and the protocol change, which is exciting for everybody in the business, for the real estate agents, our referral partners, clearly our customers, and it's just fun. So we're getting over that.
Exactly. Yeah. And you know, what's interesting is I had never done a Facebook Live before we did the Daily Dose. And now I'm doing one a day and it's like, yeah, I'm doing Facebook Live. You know, before it was like, oh crap, I got to do a Facebook Live. You know, now it's like a tool that I have in my tool belt that I'm comfortable about doing this anytime. I did Secrets of Top Selling Agents last week. I did one for Croatia. I mean, think about that. I did a Croatian podcast interview, Facebook Live this morning. You know, it's just like, if I hadn't been through this, who knows where I would have been, you know. But I hope that people don't use this. I hope they use it as a substitute for the phone. I hope they don't use it as a substitute for one-on-one meetings in the future. That's what I really hope, because there is more energy that can be exchanged in that one-on-one, right?
Well, to your point, to support that point, I think there's a 10X on the actual physical interaction. Yeah. This is great, right? I can hug you virtually. Yeah. I'm glad I can see your face and know you're alive and you're healthy, but nothing's going to change that interaction where we go get deeper, because I know you can't leave when I'm there. So I can hold on to you and I can take it.
That's right.
We can have another conversation about things. So it's a better way to go.
Yeah. So it's kind of like you control the setting and you control the environment. Well, in this, you control the setting, right? But you don't necessarily control the environment. And the nice thing about a one-on-one is you get the opportunity to control the environment, which means when they come in, you can have a drink menu for them and they can fill out the VIP form like at a doctor's office, and you can get them a drink and you can show your exemplary service. So you control the environment with a one-on-one. Hopefully people are controlling the environment with the one-on-one. But
well, this is getting them good practice. So they're going to could be better on their one-on-ones from here on out.
I hope so. I hope so. So you're like one of the most positive and optimistic people I know. Like, how do you stay that way? So, you know, we got people with Zoom fatigue. We got people who are just like their mind is finally relaxing. You know, you've got a lot of reactions to what's going on right now. And you've been positive and optimistic, like pretty much throughout. So how do you do that? How do you keep up?
It's a great question. And I think that what it comes through experiences, right? And I think this actually, believe it or not, is one of the best opportunities. And this sounds strange, but you can't pay to get this.
Yeah, that's right.
You can never get this chance. I had a chance before in 2007, 8, and 9, where you're in the middle of the Great Recession. Yeah. Of that era of our century, and it's really an incredible experience. I couldn't pay and wouldn't replace anything that I ever did during that time, because you see the best and the worst out of every human that you come in contact with. And we have that same opportunity again, although different, because this affects everybody, and this affects death, not financially, just financially, it affects life. So it's a little bit different, but it's same. And there's a lot of things that I see similarity wise, but here's what I know. I know that this will pass. Mm-hmm. And you have to know that the biggest virus that we face is fear. And that's the biggest virus that's in existence around what we deal with. When we talk about being positive or negative, the virus is fear. So what we have to kill is you have to kill the fear virus. Mm-hmm. And you have to know, because you have the knowledge, because you're human, you're smart, you know that we will survive. Now, if you know we're going to make it, then the question is, what do you do to get better at making it with everyone else when you're in it? How do you play that game? How do you play that life? How do you live your life? And it's the greatest opportunity you'll ever have, because you can show people what you're made of. You can show people what's inside of you. To your family members, to your friends, to your loved ones, to your customers. How do they look at you? Are you standing upright? Are you dragging knuckle? Or are you laying on the ground in the fetal position? How do you show up to the opportunity to engage someone, whether it's over the phone or it's 6 feet apart? Doesn't matter. Yeah. The bottom line is there's no benefit out of a negative interaction. Yeah. And I'll just stop you right there. There's just no benefit. Yeah. So why would I ever engage in a negative action? What I just ask myself this question: what do I get out of it? Well, here's the answer: absolutely nothing, or less than nothing. Right? Nothing. There's a residual to negative too. Imagine a bad word, right? Somebody just says a bad word or a whatever. That can last a long time with kids, with wives, with husbands, with, it's like, how do you reel that word back in? Sometimes you can't, So negativity leads to not just a not profitable or not productive session. It can really have bad residual effects on the relationship, So one of the things I've heard you say over and over again in a lot of the interviews you do, you talk about people thinking. And if people actually, in this case, we have an opportunity because we all are, we're put in a spot, we have to stay in a spot, and we have to function in that spot. Well, guess what? That gives you the opportunity to actually think about what's going on. Mm-hmm. And I tell people, pump the brakes. Yeah. Like, pause, pump the brakes, look around you, detach yourself from your own mental emotion, from you being in your own way, from you being in your own head, from everything being important. When at the end of the day, I go back to that 7, 8, 9 time, when in July of 2007, we went out of business in one day. Oh, wow. 10,000 people in an entire company that was over $1 billion market cap went out of business in 24 hours. July 27th of 2012? No, of 2007. 2000. Oh, yeah. Okay, 2007. And I was with American Home, and we had sold our business in 1999. We'd ran the business. We had done 16 acquisitions in a period of 6 years. We were the 10th largest lender in the United States of America. And in 24 hours, we were out of business. I was actually fishing with my dad in Alaska, doing a dad thing that I made a commitment to. I'm going to do one thing with my dad. Every year, I'm going to do a trip, just him and I. We did this trip. We're fishing in Alaska. I'd never been there. I get a phone call, fly to New York. So that was you. So things that are dramatic to people are death, divorce, losing their job. Those are the 3 big ones that people run into, right? Where they're like, okay, or serious illness. And that was a big one. Like, you wipe out an entire company, been around for 15 years and is gone in 24 hours. That's amazing. There's a choice you have to make. What do you do? So a lot of people got afraid. A lot of people, I actually could tell you honestly, I felt more free and more alive than any time I've ever felt in my life. Wow. Was when that happened. And I'm like, I looked around, I'm like, check, game on. let's get after it. It's time to get after it. That's not everybody's reaction, right? That's a great reaction. It's like, let's trace it back. Was there some time in your history where maybe you wouldn't have bounced back? So this bounce back ability is like your superpower. Like, is there a place that we can trace that back to? And maybe the answer is no. This is obviously not a question on our rehearse/questions, but I'm genuinely curious about bounce back ability as a human characteristics. I truly believe it's what make professional baseball players
professional baseball players and everybody else an amateur baseball player. And that's just one example out of everything, right?
Yeah, you kind of, I think when you get down to understanding, like, what does life really matter? Like when you think about that, this is going on right now. You sit there, it gives you that moment, the chance to pause, pump your brakes and say, what really is important? Now, I want you to write this word down real quick, a piece of paper. Write down EGO. What does that stand for?
Yeah. Well,
ego, right?
Yeah.
Now, do me a favor, take and cross out that E. And what do you get?
Go.
Okay, there it is. So when you lose the ego and you drop that E and you just go, right? Life is different. Now, there's another part of that, which when you drop that E, you also got rid and created humility. So you're humble. You don't have an ego.
Yeah.
You can kill me. You can take away all of our business. You can wipe us out completely off the face of the earth. But then what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You're going to survive.
Yeah.
It's a natural instinct of every human being to survive. So when those things happen like they do right now, the best thing you could do is get rid of that E.
Yeah.
And then you can go, because then you can actually focus on what matters. You're humble. You don't have all this baggage. You're not worried about what's going to happen in the world. You know you're going to win. You know you're going to survive. You know you're going to live another day. Then get after it. Yeah. That's what life is really about. And there's a story which you've heard, which is a man taking his boats to an island and then burning the boats.
Yeah.
And because he didn't have an option, if you burn the boats, you can't go back. Well, that was Hernan Cortez.
Yeah.
That was when Hernan Cortez went from Cuba. Yeah. And this was back in 1519, and he went to Mexico, landed in Veracruz. The name Veracruz is named after Hernan Cortez. And that burning of the boats was because he gave all of his men. He didn't have a chance. Well, guess what? They're going to come kill us, or we're going to go kill them. So whichever way it's going to work out, it's going to work out. And I then said to people, as I grew my business, and I read this great book, Think and Grow Rich, which you've read many, many times, by Napoleon Hill, based on Andrew Carnegie's philosophy. And very simply, it said that, the best thing you could do is surround yourself by people that have a common goal and a willingness to commit to that goal and never leaving each other's side. So when we went out of business in 2007, and I took, 1,500 people in 85 offices that didn't have a job and had no place to go, we never left each other.
Yeah. Wow.
With that philosophy, we stay together, have a common goal, win, build a team that's focused on each other. And there's never greener pastures. You just want to have a place to go work together as a team and be prosperous. So that's, to answer that question in a long way, and I hope it wasn't too long, that's the mentality. You have to have a belief that if worst case happens, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
And that's right now.
Yeah.
Worst case, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah. That's powerful. Have you ever been cut from a team or fired from a job, like when you're 18 or 15 to 25, somewhere in there? Did you ever face some big, and I don't know the answer to this, so what I'm really doing is, you are so strong in the bounce back ability. 2007, you were strong in bounce back ability, but it didn't happen in 2007 that you had this reaction somewhere, before, like you learned maybe that what you thought was a big negative was actually a positive. And maybe I'm just fishing, and maybe that's not the case, but was there something in your teenage years or early 20s where, there was a setback or a letdown that you turned into a big positive?
Absolutely. And the big one was in 1994 when I was a senior. You already read in my history of work, I was working at Plaza Home Mortgage, and I was running the whole retail group, which we had started that retail group with 14 people that existed. We came in and built that group up over a period of 3.5 years to 500 people, and we went nationwide. Well, we went through some economic times in 92, 93, refis went in and out. The company ended up getting put up for sale, and I got fired. Because I was going to take every human that was at that group that I had built for nothing. I was going to go start another company. And the CEO of it said, you need to go start your own company. I said, I am. And I'm going to hire every single person that I just brought here, and we're going to go start over there. And he said, well, I'll see you. So I went through that issue, which was a direct hit. The difference is it's in your character on what you believe about yourself and the story that you tell yourself. And my story was always the same. I'll always do the right thing. And if the worst case happens, I'll always do the right thing. And that's kind of how, I think you build it in through asking yourself those questions about your willingness to live and fight and survive.
Are you enjoying the Daily Dose? Want to connect with thousands of other business owners that are winning the referral game while working from home right now? Head over to the Generosity Generation Facebook group. Connect with leaders, visionaries, and business owners from all over the world. Go to www.joingengen.com. That's www.joingengen.com.
I love that. I mean, two things. One, I want everybody that's watching this now to do two things. I want you to think of a question for Ron Bergum. And number two, and trust me, my team is on there to check any questions. But number two is I want you to type in the comments blank right now. I can do anything. Type it, and I want you to mean it, because it's the truth. You can do anything. I can do anything. Like, those that have this I can do anything have this mentality of bounce back ability, and it's just like they're going to figure it out. You're going to figure it out. You're going to figure it out. You will. So right in there, I can do anything. I can do anything. And the other thing is I want you to prepare your questions for Ron. If you had a chance to have an energy coach, if you had the chance to have a positivity and productivity coach, and his name was Ron Bergum, and you had a call with him right now, what question would you have for that energy coach today? That's what I want you to ask. Now, real quick, how do you stay productive day in and day out? Like, I mean, everybody, we always talk about these big grand stories and these, you know, this, that, and the other. But listen, as we know, each day, day one. Each day is day one. So how do you stay productive day in and day out?
I think it's first of all, it's a great question. It's a real question, and it's a battle that every one of us has every single day, which is to stay on track to what you're doing. And I think that the first thing, most importantly, the number one thing I think that matters is yourself. And if you're not investing, number one, in your health, in your diet, and in your exercise, I think that you already have lost something right there. So if you don't start right, you're never going to finish strong. You're never going to start the right way you should start. So I kind of have a protocol. So it's the health part and focusing on you, because if you can't be healthy, you can't help anybody if you're not there. And then, so getting the right sleep, getting the right diet, eating the right foods, and having the right exercise, which creates your energy. The next thing is you have to have the right mindset. And so, you know, we deal with distraction daily. Everything is about getting pulled this way, pulled that way. What should I do? Someone says, did you read your email? You know, because you as a person aren't choosing your path.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like your kids. If you don't give your kids a plan, if you don't give Max a plan, Max will come up with his own plan, Michael. And he does, right? So, and I know, I know it's easy to vaccinate kids. Like you say, hey, Max, I want you to clean your room up every day, make your bed before you come out, before you eat. And I'm sure he does that every single day with total compliance. Not.
Yeah.
Now, we can't vaccinate ourselves.
Yeah.
Let alone our kids. Well, what do kids want? They grow up to be adults that can't vaccinate themselves. So it's a daily discipline to equal the freedom that you want in life. And if you do not, hey, I'm telling you, it's a struggle. And it should be, because that's what life is about. Life wasn't, you weren't put on this planet to sit there and skate.
Yeah.
You were put on this planet to challenge everything that comes at you and to win doing that. And you have to know that every day that you go through this struggle, that's okay.
Yeah.
Because what we do, Michael, is we put the wrong expectations in our head. We have an expectation. It's supposed to be easy. I'm supposed to do this and everything works great. Nothing ever goes wrong. There are never any problems. That's Pleasantville. That's in a movie. This is no movie. So when I wake up every day and I go to bed at night, I am a human. I have to put stuff in my brain because I know if I program the software up here, the outcome's better. And it's a daily fight. And it's a daily struggle. And what you do is every time you start to struggle, pump the brakes, pause, go back to your habitual, your 2 or 3 things you want to do that you want to accomplish during that day. And I always say, what are the 2 or 3 most valuable things that I can do today? And that the biggest part of that is that's a decision. Yeah. And most people don't want to be accountable to choosing the outcome. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Most people do not want to be accountable to themselves for their own choice. They want to blame it on you. They want to blame it on me. They don't want to say, I made the choice to do these two things, and yeah, I sucked at them, and I own it.
Yeah.
All right, I'm okay with that, but that's life. And guess what? That's the way life is designed. It's supposed to be there, because if you make a mistake, or if you don't get out of bed when you said you're good about it, guess what? You know what a streak is? How many days is a streak, Michael? It's 1 day.
1 day.
That's
right.
it.
You got a 1 day winning streak. 1 day winning streak, right?
So you can always get knocked off the horse. You can always you hit your face first and you crack your head open. You can always get back up and start again. Find your discipline. Find your discipline in yourself, because no one can make you disciplined. No one can make you stop procrastinating. No one can make you happy. That's from yourself.
Yep. That's powerful. I mean, I literally took like 5 things of notes. I'll just rattle them off just so everybody who's taking notes with me can kind of feed off it. One is vision. Like, why are you getting up? Why are you working so hard? Why are you, and you might think, well, I'm an employee, I'm working for the man. And like, I don't know why I'm doing this here. You're doing it to establish a path of mastery. That's why you're doing it, right? Socrates, Aristotle, they said, if you're going to be a street sweeper, be the best street sweeper in the country. Be the best street sweeper in the city. And what you're doing is you're learning a path to mastery, like master street sweeping. And you know what they'll do? They'll raise you up to where you're overseeing the street sweepers, and then master overseeing street sweepers. Wow, that's really hard to say. So what's going to happen is you need to establish this path to mastery, and whatever you're doing, master it, And then the other thing that you said that I love is that, people sometimes struggle with the easy thing versus the right thing. But Ron, one of your superpowers is you don't even worry about it, because you're not going to choose the easy thing. You're always choosing the right thing. So there's no dilemma. There's no waiting. There's no stopping. It's just, I'm going to do the right thing. Yeah, I may lose $1,000 here, but I know that the life's going to pick it up down the road. It's like you're just going to pick the right thing. A lot of people choose the easy thing because it's easy, because it's quick, it's easy, it's a quick fix. It's a deal where they get that quick juice, right? Whereas, if I do the right thing, I may not get the reward right now, but I know that I'm going to get the reward eventually. And the reward is doing the right thing, even though it was a hard thing at the time. The other thing that you hit on, and this has been a central theme of the Daily Dose, is 2 things. One is take ownership of where you are now. And wherever you are now, and I mean this for all of our Gen, all of you listeners and viewers of the Daily Dose, is take ownership of where you're sitting right now. If you're not where you want to be financially, take ownership of it. If you are not where you want to be physically, take ownership of it. If you are not where you want to be relationship-wise, take ownership of it. Like, just own your SHIT right now. Thank you, Jen Scarpero, for that inspiration. Ownership of now. Like, that's the other part is, all right, you've taken ownership and inventory of where you are now, and now own the moment. Oh, just know that all you have, you don't have your past. You don't have a future. All you have is right now. So maximize the right now. And I mean like right now. So are you getting bothered by dogs barking? Are you getting bothered by your kids? Are you getting bothered by your freaking phone? Are you getting bothered by something or quit it? Like, own the now. And that's a superpower. Like, if I had one wish upon the entire world right now, it's focus. Like, focus. If I could give you one thing, I'd give you focus. The other thing you said is just start small. Start small with your daily discipline, and realize that winning is about winning the moment, and then winning the minute, and then winning the hour, and then winning the hour of power, which might be 3 hours, and then winning the day. And I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, here's the other thing is start right, finish strong.
Yeah.
Ron, that could literally be your slogan for life. Start right, finish strong.
It is my slogan. There's one other thing that I can tell people. There's a test they can apply to themselves. And my dad is the one that actually passed this on to me, which he said, did you do your best? So you can ask yourself anytime. There's no one that can ask that question to yourself but yourself, because at the end of the day, you say, all you have to say is throughout your day, did I do my best effort on this function, on this, this activity, on this phone call? Did I give it my best? And that's between you and yourself.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you'll know the truth. And all you can do any day, Michael, is do your very best. That's all you can do. You can't get more than your best. But if you give it that, you're on the right track. 100%.
Do your best, forget the rest. Do your best, forget the rest. That's it, right? All you can do is do your best and forget the rest. Forget the rest. Forget the rest of the people. That's right now, big thing is comparativitis. I just made that up. But
Wow.
it's comparing to other people. And I have this speech with my mostly my baseball dads who want to compare their kid to how another kid's doing, right? And I tell them, listen, don't worry about it. Like, don't worry about it. Worry about this. How does he compare to how he did yesterday or last practice? And that's what I want you to look at. Where are the improvements? Where are the tweaks that he's making from where he was last time? Don't worry about, because some of these kids are going to stop improving someday. Don't be the kid who stops improving. Just if you focus him on improvement and not comparing himself to the guy who outweighs him by 100 pounds, you could keep comparing him to him. It's not fair to anybody, So it's just like, we need to get into do our best, forget the rest. Do your best, forget the rest. That's powerful. So we got some questions for you. What do you do daily to stay positive? Are there specific steps you do, or is it just at this point a mindset?
Well, I would go back to, it's a foundational thing. So
Yeah.
what I've done throughout my life was creating affirmations to myself about myself. And what happens over time by creating the new software program, it's running in your brain, you are affirming to yourself throughout the day. And I wrote them down on little cards, little flash cards that were, half an inch by 2 inches, and I'd write that I am an excellent speaker, or I have a great memory, or I do great presentations, and I always affirm those things. So what happens is you reprogram yourself.
Yeah.
So you ultimately, it sinks in at some point where it never goes back, because you put that base program in there which just says, I won't ever engage in negative actions towards other people. Well, once you program that in, it becomes a habit and it changes your life forever. And I think then you act on your own program. So your program says, I will be this way. I will act this certain way. I will be positive to those. I only talk positively to other people, and it's who you are. And so ultimately, if everyone practices that affirmation, and whenever you get off track, I think Tony Robbins did a cool thing. I listened to him say one time, said he went 7 days without allowing a negative action to engage in a negative action. So it doesn't mean you can't hear a negative thought or say, but if you take that bait and you engage in that negative activity, I think you then have to start back out at zero again. So until you put the program in, I think you just run that course.
It's your response, right? Exactly what you're saying. It's your response. You have the ability to choose your response. I'm going to choose positive to everything. Like, I'm going to have a positive response. Ron, we had one of our favorite people in the world, Nick Santonastasso, on last week. He was on Friday, and Nick has no legs. He has one arm and one finger. And just so you know, he wrestled in high school. So think about that for a second. But he was on the podcast, and Ron, his brother, had passed away the night previously. So Thursday night, Michael Santonastasso passed away. Nick Santonastasso was on Friday. We didn't know Michael had passed away, but he was on there, and it was just like, it was kind of surreal that he said, I'm here, I'm committed. This is who I am. But he really put kind of like everything in positive terms. And it really came out in our conversation that he was kind of here to honor Michael, and that he put such a positive spin on so many people. They would dive deep into, like, I would say super grief. There's grief, and then there's like super grief. And super grief is when it overcomes you, and it's like you died as well as that person died. Now, I know that a peace of us die when someone we know dies, but we don't die. Like all of us doesn't die. You know what? We've got to keep going. And so guess what? Instead of like letting that we go, you know what? I'm going to honor this person for their superpowers by being more like that in the future. And it was so powerful. Exactly what you're talking about is like when something, I mean, losing a brother, like I was like getting emotional on the interview because I just thought of my brother Rob and my brother Brian and brother Steve. It's like, how would it's just like, would I be able to show up? And it's like, you know what, I would. And it's no dishonor to them, but it's honoring the commitment. And I would actually honor them by bringing them up on the podcast like Nick did. And it was so powerful about like the worst thing in the world. There's still positivity from it.
Well,
there's still
positive. I got about halfway through that podcast so far, and I did listen to it, and I thought, what an incredible human being. I mean, people wake up and, hey, we're healthy. We've got our fingers and our hands and our arms and our legs. And, this guy has such a phenomenal mindset to be able to overcome everything that he's happy for what he has. And I think that's where a lot of us have got to really do what you said, which is ask deeper questions, reflect more about what we're really about. And I think it gets you there.
And I think another part of that too is we don't wake up negative. We don't wake up positive. We kind of wake up neutral. And then our first thoughts will take us down the path. Like you said, start right, finish strong. Start right. Start with affirmations. Does anybody here in the comments below, what's an affirmation that you guys use? Some examples that I've used from 7L is I am a referral generating machine. And I've also done each and every day, someone somewhere in my city needs my services. My job today is to find that person. That's an affirmation I said every single day for years. The other one is do it now. Ron talked about reprogramming the software. No matter how you grew up, being ridiculed, being beaten, being abused, we were all emotionally abused. We were all physically abused in some asset or another, either at school or home or wherever it may be. We all have our stuff, right? To reprogram that, it takes these affirmations. And an affirmation doesn't have to be 7 sentences. It can be 3 words. Do it now, reprogrammed, and changed my life. And it has changed millions. No, I can't say that yet. I know that it's changed thousands of people's lives. And do it now is super important. Who was the guy we had on stage in California? Derek, right? Derek Hoy was talking about like, do it now, changed his life. Like that one phrase is his mantra for his team, like do it now. All right. What, during a hard time, how do I identify the positives? Are there steps or something to look for? That kind of time. Like during a hard time, how do you identify the positives?
Well, that's a great question. And I think that comes to mindset. So that kind of goes back to your foundation. And I think that if you look around right now and you detach yourself from the emotion of the moment, and that's one thing I would tell you to do when you're in a hard time, the best thing you could do is detach yourself from it and look at it from a different position and then say, what's the silver lining here? Well, there's a lot of them, right? Mm-hmm. There's things you're able to do right now because you're in a spot, you're at home, you're confined that you were unable to do before. Use a book you wanted to read, you haven't read because you've got all these other things that are going on that are busy. You may have a family member, your kids, your spouse. You have time to spend with that person that you didn't have time to spend with that person before, but now you have that time. So you have this opportunity in the silver lining of what's going on to improve your relationships, improve yourself, get better at what you're doing. And again, I think it's how do you look, what do you seek in life? So hard times, that's a concept.
Yeah.
And you know, the reality is life happens. Mm-hmm. So when life happens, what do you choose to do when shit happens? What are you going to do about it? Yeah. Are you going to sit there and what's the person who's going to show up, the one that wants to win or the one that's like going to get eaten?
Yeah.
You know, how do you see yourself? And I think that goes to the internal part of a character. I don't know if that answers your question, Michael.
Yeah. I'll find out who. Sherry, can you tell me who asked that question, and we'll I think maybe they were looking for steps or what to look for, and you hit on it, and I will tell you, Adam Hergenrother had a really good comment in the first week. He said, I've implemented this 3-2-1 relax response to this emotional time. If I feel like I'm having this emotional response, and he's a father and he's a husband, so he uses this a lot personally and professionally. He's got his priorities so correct that at work nothing mattered. Like he can always he's never in emotion at work, right? He's always in logic. But when he does get into emotion, it's like 3, 2, 1, relax. 3, 2, 1, relax. And then,
and I think that's a great point. I think what happens in those situations is people usually react to situations versus thinking through the situation.
Yeah.
And in some cases, you don't have time to think through because you have to react if it's a human life or death situation. But in this case, it's more of what are you thinking about how you respond to the situations? And are you, we watch people watch TV programs and they do the stuff that people do in the TV program.
Mm-hmm.
That's made up.
Yeah.
So the behavior is created because you're watching someone else do it. You copy what they do. You don't think about how do you want to do it.
Yeah.
So it's, to me, it's like people say, well, how do you overcome procrastination?
Yeah.
You stop procrastinating. I'm not going to give you
do it now.
7 ways to stop procrastination.
Yeah,
To stop procrastination, you stop procrastinating.
Yeah.
You do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah. You hit it on the head. The other thing too is that sometimes people are fearful to do new things, and so what happens is your fearfulness of doing new things, like you never do new things. So you don't adapt. You don't do anything differently. You don't. And then there's the people who like I'm always trying new things. Like I'm going to do this a little bit better or a little bit differently or whatever it may be. And like right now, like you're going to have to do things differently. And you're one of 3 people. One, you're always trying and challenging and pushing to do new things. So you know what? A Facebook Live is just something you do. It's not a real emotion. Then you're the person who, like, you know what? If you had to, you would do something new. And guess what? Now you had to, so you complain about it, you bitch about it, you moan about it. It takes you a little longer to adapt it. Maybe you never fully adapt it because you're like, you came into it because you had to versus you wanted to. And then the third type of person is the person who like always rebels against newness. Like they're never trying anything new. And I'll tell you right now, this has been a stopper for that person. Like that person is cubbyholed in a basement somewhere in fetal possession. And I'm telling you, don't be that person. If you know that person, hold their hand and learn something new together. But I'm telling you, like, be the top person. Be the person who's always challenging your own comfort zone. I don't say burst the bubble. I say just make the bubble a little bigger. Like if you want to blow a big bubble with gum, you don't blow as hard as you can. That's what too many people try to do with new stuff. They try it too hard. They do it too much. But the way to blow a bubble is you gently blow in more and more air. That's your comfort zone. Your comfort zone starts out like a bubble like this. Gently blow into a little bit more. And before you know it, you have a huge comfort zone where honestly, you're comfortable being uncomfortable, I
mean, Michael, you hit it on the head. The reality of why people won't do things, the number one thing, is they have the wrong expectation. They set up the wrong expectation. They have a fall. So the first time I'm going to go do a presentation, I'm supposed to get 100 clients.
Yeah.
So their expectations, they set. So go into it. Why even have an expectation? How about the expectations you actually perform a function?
Yeah.
And you're going to go try something, and that's the expectation.
Yeah.
Not that I'm going to get 25 new customers or this is going to happen. I'm going to lose 25 pounds because I took a pill. You just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. And
that's a Buddhism. You just said act without expectation. That is a Buddhism, right? Act without expectation. Like, could you imagine? Like, I have to tell you, dude, that's a battle for me, right? I mean, my expectation is I'm going to do it freaking perfectly, excellently, or eventually it'll be the best in the world, right? So that's an expectation. But it's like the first time is going to be awful. The first time is going to be a car wreck. The first time is going to be, and it's just like you have to be okay. And by the way, don't make those too public, right? Maybe the first time you do something, you don't make it very public, right? You do it on your own, and maybe you do 10 on your own. Listen, everybody's Tom Cruise is the greatest actor ever. Listen, that guy rehearses every day. They did 75 takes before the one you saw. So guess what? It's okay. It's okay. Do your 75 takes, and then you'll get paid $1 million for your 76th. That's Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss went to 77 publishers before the first publisher said yes. Imagine going to 77 no's.
Well, I think it's even if you just said, let's say you can't do push-ups. You don't know how to do, okay, just do one.
Yeah.
And be happy you actually did it. Okay, maybe tomorrow you're going to do 3.
Yeah.
Or 4, and then you'll do those 3 or 4, and then you get better. And then the next day you have the same thing. You say, well, let me just try 2 more. So you're up to 7. And by the end of the week, you're up to doing 20. And that's how life works. You don't just be happy you moved. You didn't sit there I say, get out of the garage. Don't wait for the light to become green.
That's right.
You never get out of the garage.
That's right. And so here's the other thing. People think it's a linear growth when improvement is actually geometric or exponential growth, right? They think if I do 1 push-up today and I do 2 tomorrow, then I'm only going to be able to do 7 in 7 days. That's not how it works.
That's
if
right.
you did 1 today and you did 2 tomorrow and you did 3 on the next day, I guarantee you're going to be able to do 5 on the 4th day. You're going to be able to do 10 on the 5th day, and you're going to be able to do 20 in a week. Maybe not 20, 15 in a week for sure. But most likely you'll be able to do 20 in a week. They think it's linear, but the fact of the matter is it's really exponential and geometric. It's the same with any skill.
You know what I call that? I call that success.
Yeah.
Because you took the action step, you achieved the goal, you got better. And what more can you ask for?
Yeah.
And if you did your very best and you pushed yourself,
Yeah.
you will get better every single day.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm gonna tell a little story about yesterday. I go back to baseball a lot because it's baseball season, but yesterday we had 5 people that were all quarantined for 4 weeks, and they all stayed 6 to 10 feet apart. But we had a workout in baseball with my son and 4 other kids. And so in the very beginning, I talked about hustle, and like one of the kids, he's hustling all the time. And one of the kids kind of started out slow. And we're talking about like the thing that you have control over is hustle, listening, acknowledging, which means yes, sir, no, sir. And then having fun, which is the 4th rule. Those are my 4 rules. Well, at the end of the practice, we were doing a scrimmage called the Dominican scrimmage, which I won't explain the rules right now. But one of them is if you don't hustle, it's 3 outs, right? So in a scrimmage, it's 3 outs, the inning's over. But I said, no, if there's actually 2 outs on your team already and you don't hustle and it happens to be the 3rd out of the inning, you actually have 2 outs when you start the next inning. So what was interesting is that, so we're playing and there's a runner on 3rd and the kid hits a single to left. Well, the run scores. It's a big run, right? Because it's a close game. And so he's jogging to 1st. He's not sprinting. Well, it ended up the run scored and they got 3 outs and they ended up winning the game. And at the end of it, there was a big conversation around hustle. One thing that happened is the player of the practice, all the 5 kids chose the best player or the player who exemplified the best, got player of the practice. And the guy that started out slow wasn't really hustling, kind of late to practice, kind of got in. He ended up getting the player of the practice. The kid who had hustled all practice, and then the very last out his team had was him not hustling. Nobody said he got the best player of the practice. But his team won the scrimmage. So it could have been a deal where, oh yeah, we won, so no big deal. But I said, here's the thing. Everybody says you win or you learn. And that's not it, right? It's win and learn. So if you lose, yeah, you're going to learn, you're going to grow. But I'm going to tell you something. You need to learn and grow even when you're winning. And if you want to really see, in life, I don't want to have to lose to learn. I want to win and learn. win and learn. So it's like, all right, you won today, but don't take it away that you can not hustle because you happen to win this game. Take away the lesson more than you take away the victory, because the victory is fleeting. The lesson is lifetime.
And that kid that didn't hustle to first base when he hit that single to left field, I would say to him, did you do your best job?
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't.
No.
He didn't run. He's jogging his way in there because, hey, we got scored. He saw the guy was going to score because they couldn't throw him out at home. Right. But the truth of the matter is he didn't do his best job.
That's right.
He got a hit, but he stopped.
Yep.
And that happens a lot where people will get an A, or they'll be top of their field, or they'll be best in their class, but they're still not giving it their all. And that's really that's your message. That's the point. Is that, oh yeah, we won, we got an A, or we got the score, but there were 3 people that weren't hustling here, guys. Yep. And what about when we lose and you didn't hustle? Then we're really screwed.
That's right. That's right. And I told the story about my son Max. We were in a 4-4 game at the Perfect Game World Series last fall. And it was 4-4 against a really good team in the 4th inning. And big lefty up, stud hitter, runner on third, 2 outs. This guy hits a missile up the middle for a single. And so the runner's coming in. The lefty is looking back at his bench going, yeah, let's go, as he's running to first base. Well, Max comes in on a run, fields the ground ball on 2 hops, and throws it to first from center field, Ron.
It got him out?
In the air, and he's out. Now, here's what's interesting, right? Does the run score? Even though the runner had crossed home plate, does the run score? The run doesn't score because it's a force out at first base. Yeah. And the other coach is like going ballistic. It's like, that's the rule, right? And he was staring down my son as everybody's like high-fiving Max. And, he's coming off. The other coach is like, what are you doing throwing that guy out from center field? Like it was the greatest play I've ever seen, in the fall. Well, lo and behold, we come back, we score 3 runs in the bottom of that inning, and then held them off to end up winning the game. And that was a big momentum shift instead of down 5-4, we're tied and we have the top of our lineup coming up. But it was like that kid wasn't hustling. He was hot dogging it and jogging. He's left-handed. He has 5 feet head start to first base. If he would have even run, not sprinted, he would have been safe by a mile. But you know what? He was jogging it up and living it up, and he was out, and we ended up winning the game. So I hope that kid learned that lesson. But I think the other lesson is that Max threw him out from center field, and it's like, that's an outlandish play. But you know what? If you can do it, sometimes you got to make the outlandish play, and see what happens.
I like that. That's awesome.
So this is awesome. This was fantastic. We need to go, right? I mean, it's like, I always say these are going to be 30 minutes. I think we've had one that was like 37 minutes. The rest have been like an hour. So I will tell you, Ron, this has been fantastic. I fully appreciate it. Everybody in the Generosity Generate appreciates it and appreciates you. I probably appreciate you more than anybody. You've made a significant investment in Referco and my speaking. And, I really appreciate that above and beyond just what we talked about today. And I cannot wait. I think we've got 10, 15
got a lot
engagements
a lot coming. Yeah. I would just say that, first of all, thank you for having me join your show. You get a great show going on, and you're doing the right things and great things to people. And I'm a huge believer in you because I see someone that I've watched, and this goes back to when we were doing things together at Prospect. So this goes back years, and you continue to do more powerful things and get better at it and show people the right path. And, you do it with heart, you do it with nothing but love, and you do nothing but generosity for those that are listening and those people that are joining your campaign. And I really support you because I just think you're doing so many things great that people need to listen. So I'm all about getting that message out and getting your word out and getting how you are getting people on the right track to achieve goals they didn't expect they could achieve, getting actions, getting results that they just didn't think were possible. And that's what you're doing, Michael. And I'm a huge fan of you, and I'm a huge fan of what your message is. So again, thank you very much. I'm privileged to be on this program with you. Thanks for inviting me.
Well, thanks a million. We appreciate you as well. And viewers, listeners, a few things here. First and foremost, listen, Thank you so much for listening and watching the Daily Dose of Positivity and Productivity, brought to you by referralspodcast.com and the Generosity Generation. If you are listening to this as a podcast, do us a favor and subscribe, and maybe share this message if you enjoyed today's message. We'd really love to build our viewership with great people. No negative Nellies, no Debbie Downers here. Only the positive Pollies, but not the Pollyannas necessarily. But I just want to let everybody know, listen, tomorrow we have Hal Elrod, author of The Miracle Morning and The Miracle Equation. We call him the Miracle Man, and you're going to see why tomorrow. Please share the message. Invite people to Generosity Generation group. It's joingengen.com. Bottom line is have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow on the Daily Dose. Thanks, everybody.